Hello, you wonderful people, and welcome to another episode of Not Too Comic Book. This being a show where I talk about TV shows that are adaptations of comic books. For today's episode, I'm going to talk about the latest episode of Batwoman. A lot of really interesting things went down in this episode, so let's break it down. Obviously, picking up where last week's episode left off, we have Kate attacking Beth because she's not understanding, like, wait, what's going on here? And Kate just keeps applying pressure because she thinks this is, Alice messing with her head until Beth sprays her with pepper spray and just runs off. And so obviously she goes to Sophie. It's like, how can you not tell me my sister's out? What are you talking about? She's locked up. And it's like, wait, I thought I could have sworn I saw her. And it's like, well, Mary did too. So you have Mary, Luke, and Kate all trying to figure this whole thing out. And it's like, wait, here's an ID she has. It's like, it looks super legit. This might be like the best fake ever. The fingerprints came out the same. It's like, what's up with this? And then they start looking through her phone and Kate recognizes one of the pictures, but Mary's like, I'm gonna go investigate this on my own. But the moment she sees the picture, she's like, I remember seeing this exact picture from Earth 99. So now kind of piecing it all together that this is the Beth from that Earth. So when all the Earths collapse, she into this one Earth, that Beth landed on this Earth. And it's like, whoa. Which is obviously, it's like, this is a Beth from a different Earth where things went down completely differently. And so obviously the different, because I didn't even catch this last episode, but she had referenced the place she had gone to. Like, I think she had said, like, they had turned her, like, a place into, like, a dorm room or something like that. Like, that's why she was at the school or whatever, because she was trying to go to her place, but it turned out not to be. Like, that's what she was kind of confused about. Like, wait, what's going on here? So... And you had Kate kind of tracking her down and being like, I'm sorry I didn't recognize you at first. But she's like, yeah, I don't get it. Like, nothing's what it seems like. No one recognized me. She doesn't understand what's going on. And Kate ends up bringing it, breaking it down. And I love that, she's like, wow, you were taking this whole multiverse thing way better than I did. Like, I would have expected you to. It's like, well, because apparently, like, on her Earth, she was studying this stuff. In fact, she actually wrote papers, a dissertation on this type of stuff. So it's not that out there, crazy to think about. So that's pretty impressive. But obviously, it's this interesting thing because for, Kate, who spent so long trying to save Alice, because it's like, I want to get Beth back. To have Beth in front of her now, it's just, it's got to be nice, Obviously, she ain't go into too many details because obviously, because it's sad, because for Kate, any probably like bringing up what happened to Beth on this Earth probably would have just been like, she probably thought like to herself like, I failed, because she learned. Because she tried to think like, well, the fact of the matter is Beth never became Alice, so that must mean there was no car accident. Turns out there was a car accident, but because Kate didn't know the full scope of the multiverse. Because to be fair, this is her first experience with the multiverse. Like literally the only people who've ever really experienced the multiverse like that is Barry and Kara, but mainly Barry. Barry's the only one who's interacted with different people from different Earths, actually visited other Earths. Obviously, Kara, she's popped up on Earth 1, and she's kind of known some of the differences, but this is Kate still trying to figure this whole thing out, especially because it's like, you get mixed up in this whole multiverse stuff when there is no longer a multiverse. There's just only one Earth with all these other multiverses being collapsed upon each other, so you don't really understand the full scope of it yet, because like I said, you're a newbie to this whole situation. But because it was Luke that was kind of saying like, maybe, obviously possibilities, the multiple Earths kind of represent the different possibilities, because every decision you make and the different outcomes lead to basically a different Earth. And obviously maybe the car accident didn't happen, but it did happen. The difference is on that Earth, Kate got back into the car and saved Beth. And for her, it's like, you've been my best friend ever since then. Like, we were always close, but that made us even closer because you risked your life to save mine. And obviously that breaks Kate's heart because she even says it like, people told her over and over again, like, if you had actually gotten back in that car, both you and her would die. But it's like, now she sees that literally on another Earth, she did get back in that car and she did save her sister. To be fair, that's one of a multitude of Earths. Who's to say on any other Earth you got back in that car, you didn't die? Like, both of you could have died. They could have done a Flashpoint thing where both of you died, but your mom's the only one that survived type of situation. Because obviously I'm making a parallel to like how Bruce dies during Flashpoint and instead it's Thomas Wayne that becomes Batman. That type of situation, so... Which has an interesting thing, too, considering who Batman is on that Earth in particular. Like, obviously, Kevin Conroy's Batman and that, like, what he became in that continuity. So it's like, would he have... Because it depends on when in his timeline he decided to go full-blown, kill all the bad guys type of situation. But regardless, like I said, going on tangent and all that, but still. But it turns out Mouse and the Rabbit Gang, the Wonder Gang, have kidnapped these two, like... one's the son of the mayor, the other was the son of the commissioner. And obviously it turns into this whole thing of like, okay, Kate's, gonna, try to rescue them, but the Warner gang captures her, and now all three of them are being held hostage if they don't release Alice. And so it turns into this complicated thing of like, well, how's this gonna play out, So obviously at the same time you have everything with Sophie and Alice. Obviously Sophie learning a lot more about Alice's situation, obviously learning kind of the horrors that she went through, the kitten that her and Johnny or Mouse ended up, having, that he brought it in, but they kept it hidden from his dad. And obviously the whole thing of him trying to perfect making a perfect mask and face for Johnny, but it never worked. And sadly, he ended up finding the kitten and killed it in front of them. That's heartbreaking enough because sadly for, Beth, she was still like, she needed something to grasp onto, hope, some form of happiness during that traumatic time. She had two pieces, that being Johnny and the other being that kitten, but, and the kitten being killed, and then him breaking her heart by being like, oh, look, your dad, he's forgotten all about you. He's remarried, kind of setting it off in her mind that like, oh, no one was coming to rescue her, that she was all alone. She was forgotten. And then it's like, oh, I'm not mad at you for knitting this little sweater. It shows how nimble your hands are. So now I see how capable you are. I need you to help out Johnny. I need you to put together these pieces of flesh. I was like, now that's super morbid. A child having to stitch together flesh. And then sadly, she's in the sink kind of washing her hands. She looks so broken on the inside just because you see her. She doesn't look like tearful or anything. She just looks numb. And it's like, and it was in that moment, it's like she just kind of, reading that quote on the bat. What was it? It's no use. Essentially, it was like no use to holding on to who you were yesterday because you were a different person then. I know I'm super paraphrasing that, but basically that's what inspired her to stop being Beth, because it's like Beth is dead. All her innocence was gone after everything she'd been through. Her family already treated her like she was dead, so it's like it doesn't matter anymore. Beth is dead. I'm going to be Alice. I'm wondering how they did escape that situation, because part of me kept expecting and this could end up coming up later on, but I kind of halfway expected Alice to end up killing him at one point in time, Johnny's dad, potentially. Because even then, you could already tell she had a very warped perception, because, obviously, when he was making Johnny's face, the lighting rig he had on his face and everything, she was looking at the book and, because obviously, and it's even something Sophie had said, that the book was her escapism. So she had already created it as a bit of a buffer to kind of deal with the trauma she was going through, but she created the distance between reality and that world of Alice in Wonderland, that wall got broken down even more so when she accepted, no, I'm going to treat this whole thing like Alice in Wonderland. He's the caterpillar, I'm Alice, and Johnny is my mouse, so. Another interesting thing about this episode was the fact that everyone was like, yo, so why isn't the GCPD calling for Batwoman to help? Oh, that's because the GCPD doesn't want to get political, because I guess by saying if we call for Batwoman's help, it means we're kind of taking a stance in it, and then it becomes a thing, because even I think some news reporters are like, are you not calling Batwoman because she came out as gay? Is that what this is all about? And he is like, this is such a situation, we don't need to get political with it. It's like, then if you don't want to get political, then don't worry about the politics of it and just get the city's literal only superhero to save the day, which is that's so crazy. Because even I'm skipping around. Well, I'll go ahead and talk about it. I thought it was very beautiful at the end where it shows the entire city, or at least a good chunk of people, that it doesn't matter that she's gay or whatever. It's like, this is our hero. We support her because she protects us. You're literally talking about the city that went without a hero for 3 years. A city that didn't even have any hope until she popped up. She's their new hope. And it's like, you're not going to, you're taking away our hope because you're so caught up in the fact that she's gay and that's what matters the most. I think, and I think for Kate, it's nice to see, for one, it's like the entire city accepts you for who you are. It doesn't matter if you're gay or straight. The fact is, the city accepts you, and the fact of the matter is they have your back. They believe in you, and that's a beautiful message. I think that's kind of neat, because even the two dudes in the back who were kidnapped, it's like, dude, yeah, we can't even get saved by Batwoman because my dad is so stupid. It's like, your dad is stupid because his dad was a commissioner. It's like getting so caught up in that, but regardless, it has to be wild for Beth to also hear, because Luke had to break down, like, yeah, this is actually what happened on this Earth. This is who you became and all that. It's like, right. It's like, where's my dad? He's the leader of the Crows and stuff. Like, yeah, but he's in jail because, well, you kind of framed him for killing his wife. And it's like, hearing all that's got to be rough because it's like, because you probably think, like, I can never be capable of that. But somehow things went so wrong on this Earth that somehow I am capable of it. And that's got to be heartbreaking on its own. But I was wondering, like, because obviously Mary helps, kind of dress her up because she's the one that's like, okay, because obviously Kate was like, do not let Alice go, but for whatever means, because, it'd be a bad idea if we did. But Beth came up with the decision of, why don't I disguise myself as Alice? I mean, as long as I put on, makeup and wig, we'd be able to full mouse and get to them. And then you have, Mary helping with that, which I was thinking, like, what did they tell Mary to get her to help? Because it's still got to be a weird situation. Because even for her, it's like the moment she got done, she was like, it's like, yeah, when I see, the last time I looked in these eyes, my mom had died in my arms. And she said, I'm so sorry for what happened, she still feels responsible, but Mary's like, you shouldn't, Beth. Like, you are not that bitch who killed my mom. And I thought that was kind of sweet, showing it, even in Mary's mind, you might look similar, but she recognizes them as two very different people. And so luckily, Beth was able to kind of full mouse, but only for so long, because it's like, wait, you want to spare her? It's no. The fact of the matter is they kind of left you alone. Now, like, and Kate got to have a good life. It makes you wonder if if Alice would have felt that same way too. I don't know. She probably would have snapped that mouse for, like, second guessing her, but obviously that's still a point of contention between the both of them, because obviously, like, she has her own plans for Kate because she wants things to work out, but obviously that's going to change. The last episode kind of said in her mind, like, oh, that the fact of the matter is things between me and Kate will never be the same, not be what I want it to be. That's obviously going to get even more interesting the moment Alice finds out that there's another Beth out there, which my mind immediately is like, she's going to kill Beth, just because it's like, it's going to be a reminder of, I got to kill this side of me. I can't let this version of me exist in any shape or form. I'm thinking that, well, especially with everything that goes down, but we'll get to that in a second. But sadly, whatever the case may be, Mouse was able to see through Alice. Luckily, Kate was able to get free and kick some serious ass. But the car is on fire. Luckily, she's able to get the other two out, and she's trying to get Beth out, but she can't. And I love that moment of, like, Beth touching her face, kind of being like, it's okay. I think trying to symbolize, like, it's okay. It's okay. I was able to kind of help you get away, and that's all that matters. And Kate comes back because she already felt like she left. She failed. She feels like she failed Alice, Beth, when she became Alice. And it's like, I'm not going to make that mistake again, especially considering me on a different Earth was able to save you. I'm not going to leave you behind. So luckily she was able to save Beth. And so it's so beautiful at the end to kind of see, like, all these people around her that matter so much to her, that being, Luke, Mary, and Beth. And it's almost like her little squad, her family's together. I even love Mary being like, at first I didn't understand why you were so desperate to save Alice, but now getting to know Beth, I get it now. And then I love Mary being like, yeah, basically based on the paper she was reading, like, it's most like, and she kind of breaks down the whole multiverse thing, and then Kate's just like, she's like, yeah, you're probably right. I'm probably thinking about it. Just, haha, that's pretty good if you figure that out completely on your own, Mary. So that was pretty dumb. Sadly, at the same time, though, like, Alice managed to escape because I would have never expected that to kind of play out the way it did. Like, because obviously, like, Alice is making that comparison to her and Sophie, because it's like, oh, we were both trapped. The difference is that your trap is a prison you made of your own. I get to be me, like, saying that this is me, Alice is me, and I get to be out, but you, not so much. You hide who you really are. You've kind of gone so much of your life doing that, and obviously you can tell it's getting to, because obviously because it hits probably Sophie in twofold, because it's like, one, Kate is able to be herself so freely, and even Batwoman came out to be. So it's probably that thing of, like, it's that thing of, like, I think because you've lived your life a certain way for so long, it makes, I think, coming out even harder, because you're scared that, like, it's like, you're afraid, just probably like how people would see you, but more so than anything, probably just how she'll see herself, I mean, I can't even, like I said, I can't even be in that mindset of knowing what that's going through, what Sophie would be going through mentally with that whole kind of like war raging in her head about that whole situation. But that was, I mean, from a villain standpoint, that was pretty badass for Escape, basically taking the fish hook that was used in the book and basically using it to get out. I think it's like, because Kate has always been so desperate to save her, you do kind of forget, like, right, let's not forget, Alice is straight up a murderer. She just killed 2 cops. And obviously, she let Sophie go because it's like, oh, the fact of the matter is you're trapped in a prison of your own, and that's more of a hell than anything. Letting you kind of live. Because the fact of the matter is saying that basically Sophie will never let herself out of that prison. She'll always keep herself, kind of hide who she really is. She'll never let herself be out and happy. So it's like you'll always be stuck like that, and that's good enough punishment to kind of leave you kind of like that, But and then there's even Jacob being like, well, now that she's free, it's actually a good thing because now we can just put a bullet in her anytime we see her, because that was kind of the point before. But now it's like, well, the fact is, if we have Beth running around, they might make that mistake of just killing her instead of Alice. That's a whole thing. But then at the very end, we get the thing where it's like Alice and Beth are both clutching their head. There's like this, like, their heads hurt, which I'm like, all right, so we're kind of dealing with a little bit of a paradox here, because there are 2 people who exist on the same frequency. I think 2 people. It might be like the clashing of like 2 different frequencies. What I mean is like, because I know some stuff kind of makes it like that, where it's like, kind of, it works in the same way with, I think, with time travel. If things kind of exist on the same frequency, they're the same object. Obviously, it creates a paradox time travel wise, and that becomes an issue. Well, this isn't time travel, but I think it still kind of parallels on the same, because that hasn't really come up too much. Because anytime there's ever been double of someone on an Earth, it's either been like a different version, like obviously like Flash from Earth 90 has crossed paths with Flash, but they're not the exact same person. But also that has to be considered because that was when a multiverse existed at that point in time. We're dealing with just one world now, so it's like them coexisting on the same world is creating like an issue with the universe of like, yo, things are out of whack, things are out of balance. Which makes you wonder, I guess, because the whole, because I guess it also depends on how long they've been around. Because you look at last week's episode of Supergirl with Brainy, the fact of the matter is, depends on how many of those other Brainy 5s, like how long they were kicking it around before there, but it also might be because they exist a little differently, them not necessarily being human, but maybe Beth and Alice being humans. Whatever the case may be, like I said, at its base point, it's some form of paradox where it's like they both can't exist on this earth at the same time, because eventually it will most likely kill both of them. Not unless it's going to be a thing where like they need to fuse together, or at least one of them has to die. It's kind of like, well, because Earth 2 Laurel because they're at least in the same city, and that proximity is probably what's going to be killing them type of situation. Not unless one moves away. Like I said, I don't think this works the same way as like a different Earth situation, just because this situation is similar but it's different. Because there's only currently at this time of this continuity, like I said, we see later on at the end of Crisis that other Earths are created. But for now, this is the only Earth that exists in this universe. So all of that compounds itself into this. So I'm very interested to see where all that ends up taking us going forward and what the solution is. Once again, I hope it's not simply as like one of them has to die. I get the feeling that might be the route we go down, but I just kind of get the feeling like it's going to be a sad situation where Alice is going to kill Beth in some shape or form, especially if she finds out the truth about there being another version of herself. Obviously, they got Mouse. He's arrested, but that depends on Alice. She's so desperate to save him, I'm sure. Maybe he'll find a way out on his own. Either way, I should also note, just kind of a little side note, that dude, there's one of the crows that Sophie talks to later in the episode about like Mouse and stuff like that. That dude, this is the 3rd time, dude. Obviously, I brought it up. He was in Charmed. He was recently, I think it was like not last week, but the week before last episode of Nancy Drew, and he's in an episode of Batwoman. Now it's like that's 3 CW shows he's been in. I was like, wow, you are just making the rounds, aren't you? I don't know. I just thought that was kind of fun. Like it's happened with other actors before. I just think that stuff is kind of fun. I'm like, hey, I just saw you. It's always interesting. Regardless, enough of my tangents. Like I said, we'll ultimately have to wait and see where all this goes down. Batwoman is going on a little bit of a break and will be returning on February 16th. So do keep that in mind. But really, that's all I'm going to talk about. Until the next time we meet, be happy, be safe, live life to the fullest, and enjoy it. Good day and goodbye.